Afternoon. Again, welcome to our NAC and soon to be Entertainment Food and Beverage Association webinar this afternoon. Today, we are going to do forecasting for success, navigating 2025 with strategic insights and partnerships. And we're featuring Rob Novak and Rob Lehman today as our featured guests. I do have a few housekeeping things that I'd like to mention. We'd ask that you keep on mute since we do have a lot of you. In fact, we have over 90 people registered today. So, and by looks of how folks are coming in, I think most of you are going to make it. So we really appreciate that. But again, I said we had over 90, and this is an extension of a session that we did in St. Louis with Rob and Rob, and it proved very popular, and we thought it'd be a great idea to do an update once we got toward the fourth quarter. Again, I'd ask you to stay on mute, and please use the chat function for questions, and please use it because we certainly would like the dialogue. I would also mention that this session is being recorded, and we will publish that on social media and on our website. I'm going to let a few more people in here. I do have a few announcements I'd like to make before we start, and that's getting to this webinar series. Our plans are the executive committee, along with the education committee, we're going to try and attempt to do a quarterly webinar series. The next topic has already been chosen. It's marketing and promotion strategies for concessions. That date is to be determined, but that'll happen in the fourth quarter. Along with that announcement, I'd like to offer that we will offer sponsorships for these calls. So if you are a supplier member and would like to sponsor one of these calls, please contact me and we can talk about that. But it would encompass having presence here and then also getting a few minutes on the agenda. In addition to that, if you would like to see some topics for us to dive into and cover, please let me know, because we can add that to our list of topics that we're planning on looking at. And who knows, maybe we can do it more than quarterly. Right now, we're planning on quarterly. A couple things that are coming up for NAC. There's a seminar on September 18th at Royal Corporation headquarters in California, and it's called Your Ticket to Success. And it's going to be led by Larry Etter, our former Director of Education. And it's actually a pretty big couple months here for Larry, because on September 25th, he's going to be visiting the Giant Screen Cinema Association and talking to them about revolutionizing concessions in giant screen theaters. I know they are looking forward to tapping into his expertise on that. And then also, again, for Larry Etter, if you're going to Show East, Larry's going to be receiving the NEC Icon Award, and that ceremony is on October 24th. So that's something to look forward to. And again, it's kind of the Larry Etter section of this presentation. As we did hint at and have made announcements before, we will be rebranding to the Entertainment Food and Beverage Association. There's a lot of balls in the air at this moment. All of that work is ongoing, but again, our goal is to open up 2025 as the Entertainment Food and Beverage Association. So you'll be seeing more on that just by staying in touch with our website and with our social media channels. Many of you on the call today are new to NAC. You may not be a member, and we were very excited to offer this webinar to anybody who'd like to join. In the future, it would be a member benefit. And so if you're not a member, join now. We'd love to have you. There's some information in front of you right now. But all you really have to do is visit naconline.org and hit the join tab, and that will tell you how to join us. Or you can write me. My email address is on the screen. And then also, while you're on the website, if you want to know, well, what's in it? What can NAC do for me? We have a benefits page on there that kind of lays it out pretty nicely, the things that we offer. We would have a hard time offering these types of things without some really dedicated people. And I offered this list up as a way to not only give these folks credit for their hard work, but also if you would like to be or would like to be involved or serve on one of our committees, here is a list of those folks. Bo Bartoni heads up our education committee, who's had a lot to do with the webinar series and the seminars that I mentioned. Jackie Bray in membership mentorship. George Robb, who's our president-elect, who also is our Expo committee chair. Jen Clark is on communication and marketing. Don Lear leads up our government relations program. Martin Olson heads up our international committee. And Denise DeZuter, as our former president and board chair, heads up the nominating committee. We also do some charitable causes, and those are broken up in subcommittees. Adam Fanger heads up our golf outing. Kim Cook Serrano leads our outreach, and Dan Harrell and Jeff Peterson do a great job on our silent auction and raffles that we do at our various events. So that's going to lead us to today's presentation, Forecasting for Success, Navigating 2025 with Strategic Insights and Partnerships. Going to be led up by Rob Novak, who's currently the NAC president. He's the vice president of food and beverage at Marcus Theaters, and Rob Lehman, who's chief operating officer at Santico Theaters, and he also serves NAC as a vice president on our board of directors. So, gentlemen, with that, I will hand it over to you. We might have to do a little switch over here. Rob Lehman, the control of the board is yours, and I would remind everybody, please use the chat function, and we will get to your questions as we can.
Rob, you want to?
No, I just want to thank everybody and welcome them for being a part of this. This is a great opportunity for us at the Entertainment, Food and Beverage Association /NAC to demonstrate some of the education pieces that we talk about that we can bring forth to help you guys as members and those of you who are joining us as non-members to better understand some of the impacts and the drivers in our business that directly reach you, whether that's an exhibitor, whether that is a operator, whether that is someone who is a manufacturer or someone that's in distribution. And I think the presentation that we're going to take you through that Rob was able to assemble for us is a fantastic one. And hopefully we can avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the trials and tribulations that we went through in what I would call the post-Father's Day to early August period of time, which affected both us and you guys. And that's the purpose of this. We want to be better here because at the end of the day, our goal is to make more money, everybody to make more money in the food chain. If we don't have product, we can't sell to our guests. So it's, there's an opportunity cost with that. But in the same way, if we're not getting good projections to manufacturers and they're falling behind and not selling to us when we have our peak periods, there's lost opportunity there. And distribution in the middle, they have it both ways as well. They're not being able to buy from that manufacturer and able to ship to the end user, who is us, the operator / exhibitor. So with that, I'll let Rob lead the presentation and chime in as necessary.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Chris. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to talk about what's been happening this year and a little bit of peek into 2025. So let's get started. This is kind of what I'm going to go over, Q1 and Q2. Talk about Q3, which we're finishing up here, the last 18 days left, or 19 days left. Talk about what's next in Q4, and then a quick sneak peek at 2025. So just so everyone, if you were at our presentation in St. Louis, you heard us talk about, Rob and I and Chris Johnson talk about the box office in Q1. And then Q2, we were down 25% over 2023, which then led us to the first half box office down 18.4. So as you can see, it was not a pretty first 6 months of the year. I think Rob and I have talked about this. It started getting pretty about the time Inside Out open, but that was middle of June. A little bit of a peek here. If you look at the numbers, May was a problem this summer. We had a very poor start to it. It was the worst May since 1998. That's saying a lot right there. August, though, we talked about it at the show. We were thrilled talking about August, and August came through. And as you can see, we had our best August since 2016. So a really good takeoff. What did it? And everyone on this call should probably know what did it, but Deadpool, $595 million and climbing. I did this about a week ago, so that one, they're probably coming up close. They probably hit 600 million, which is a great number. Twisters, 260 million. We had talked about that. We knew that was going to be our popcorn movie, and it sure came through for us. It ends with us. I would say that this was our summer surprise. We heard good things going into the when we all talked in July, and It Ends With Us has done very well for the theater business. And then a nice little surprise with Alien. It's at 90 million, and it'll probably get to 100 million. So that was another August win for us. You got your wins, you got your misses. Here's 3 misses. Unfortunately, that came out, and they are showing Harold, only did 16 million, Borderlands 50 million, and The Crow 8 million. So that wasn't good to see. There weren't a lot of expectations on those movies. And you'll have some misses for sure. Let's look at the summer box office since 2018 and just do a comparable. So it kind of gives you this summer is defined for the first weekend of May through Labor Day weekend. So as you can see, 3.6 billion for this past summer, which is a great number. The best since 19, not the best, but we missed a little bit on 2023. But it showed, if we didn't have that crappy May, we would beat this number in 2023. So kind of just give you a general idea what's happening in the summertime. But let's jump to Beetlejuice. It opened this past weekend with $110 million gross, which is outstanding for the theater business. I ran the numbers this morning, and they're currently sitting at 130 million. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we've made another 20 million off this movie. I put that in there. The movie It in 2017 made 123 million on opening weekend. So Beetlejuice was our second highest grossing movie in September. And it'll continue. We look at about a 50, I'm seeing anywhere from a 55 to 60% drop in week 2, but that's another 50 million for us. So it's going to hold. It's got legs, and we're thrilled that we had this opportunity to have this movie in September. What's left in September? Speak No Evil comes out. We're looking at about 15 million, but then we got Transformers and Wild Robot that could surprise us. Transformers, I just read an article today. It's an animated Transformer, and they called it the best Transformer movie they've had. So I think the hype's going to be picked up on that. And I tell you what, Rob and I both know this, a lot of people in the industry. You put a kid's movie in every month, and you're going to make some money and sell some concessions. So Wild Robot at the end of the month, 20 million. I think that's going to get a little higher than 20 million. I think we could get 25 or more out of that. Word coming out about it is positive. Let's look at last September, because that's what we're all here for, to help the distributors, the suppliers, the manufacturers, and the theaters. Let's do a comparable. So last September, the total amount we made in North America was 496 million. And as you can see, the totals and then the openings. But what I like to show is September 1 through 11 through last night, we've already made 260 million in 11 days. So we're already over 50%, and we still got 18 days left with 2 Transformers, Wild Robot, and another 50 million on top of that. So if you're going to look at September 2024 is a win for everybody on this call. So I want to keep to the people that are on this call. So we got the suppliers and manufacturers, and I want to keep it movie related. So you guys provide popcorn, soda, candy, and other supplies to us. And also we have a lot of distributors on this call. So I pulled one of my favorite films, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So what the distributors have to do is get the supplies in, and hopefully your warehouses aren't like that, but I want to keep to the movie theme. So September started big with Beetlejuice, and everyone on this call, the theaters, the manufacturers, and the distributors knew $100 million opening plus movie was coming. So hopefully you've gotten a lot of orders last week, and you got some orders this week. What I'm suggesting for the month of September is for the suppliers and manufacturers and distributors, it's time to start preparing for Joker, which opens on October 4th. Going through that, so on October 4th, we got the Joker, and on October 25th, we're booking with Venom, which right now all the predictions are $100 million openings. So for our manufacturers, suppliers, and theaters, distributors, and everyone, time to start thinking about what you're going to do with these $100 million openings bookend in October. A couple other features that we got in October is we got Smile 2, which was a nice surprise when it came out, I believe, 2 years ago. And we got Saturday Night, which is going to open limited. It's a limited release, but it'll expand. I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. So let's talk about October last year, like we did September. So you got Taylor Swift, which made 151 million, and you had Five Nights at Freddy's, which surprised everybody on this call. No one had 80 million, and the funny thing about it is, it opened at 80 million, it made 88, so it was really front end loaded. The total in October was 584 million, but I want to talk about Taylor for like a couple seconds. You saw what Taylor's numbers were: 151 million total, 93 million open. I've been saying this for a year. I know Rob has been talking about it. Remember that ticket price was $19.89, and the average ticket price last year was probably half that. So the attendance, we kind of looked at that movie. A lot of the theater chains looked at that movie. If you take 93, so you're talking about a $46 million opening weekend for that, and it probably in the theater terms made 75 million total. So just want to get out there, if you're distributors, manufacturers, everyone's looking at it. We're going to have, with these two movies, these are $200 million openings. We're going to do very well in October. This is another positive for us. So I just want to make sure everyone's prepared for that. Speed up here. Let's talk about November. So we got our presidential election. The first 6 days of November, there's not going to be a lot of product put out there. The one movie that's coming out the Friday before the election is the one in the middle. It's called Here. It's Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, Robert Zemeckis. This movie looks very, will play to older adults. We expect this movie to make it through Thanksgiving and maybe into the holidays. It's got good word of mouth coming out right now, so we're excited about that. A couple other movies. We got The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, and then we got Red One, which looks like just a fun movie for all ages. November 22nd is the big day. Gladiator 2 opens and Wicked opens. This is what everybody's targeting Thanksgiving for. Last 2 weeks ago, I was at the Cine show in Dallas and had a conversation with the team at Paramount, and the question was asked to them is, why are you opening November 22nd instead of November 15th? Why are you going head to head with Wicked? And just sharing information that I got, they said the problem is if they try to open on the 15th, they can't advertise as much because all the commercials available are for political ads up to the election. And when you're already looking at, if you're watching live TV, news, you're already seeing the political ads start playing out. We're 2 months out. But as we get closer to November 6th, every commercial is going to be a political ad. So the Paramount team decided, let's go for the 22nd. And that gives us a full 2 weekends worth of advertising. So you're going to see a big blitz after the election, November 7th on, and you're going to see a lot of Gladiator and a lot of Wicked. And you know what? It worked for Barbie and Oppenheimer opening on the same one. This is kind of a male action, fun Gladiator movie, and then Wicked's going to play to a lot of ages. So I'm not worried about this. I think it's great for the theaters because it opens on the Friday before Thanksgiving, so it's going to play for a while. So we're excited about both movies. And then 5 days later, right before the day before Thanksgiving, Mona 2 comes out. That's from Disney, so we got a kids film. As Rob and I have seen over all the years that we've been in the business, this is a good thing. We love this, that we're seeing movies open before, solid movies opening before Thanksgiving and right before Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving. It'll make the theaters with Black Friday, there's going to be a lot of business going through our doors during that time frame. So I made a mistake on this, I realize now. This is November 2023 movies, top 5, not 24. So last year, Hunger Games, $44 million opening. The Marvels opened at 46. We only had one movie that went over 100 million last year, last November. Total for the months, 559 million. Our suggestions to the suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, November 2023 was weak. Actually, October 2023 beat it. That's very rare that you see October beat November in all my years. Don't look at your November 2023 numbers. Please get that to your buyers. Anyone that's trying to figure out how much product to make. Don't panic at the very beginning, because from November 22nd on, we will crush it for that month and the weeks into December. Bob, you got something to add on this?
I was going to add to that, Rob. The one thing that I think people need to be aware of in November is how the calendar works in relationship with ordering, in relationship to Thanksgiving, right? It's a unique month because the volume all kind of comes. It's spread some based off this movie counter, but to Rob's point, because of the election, distributors are trying to avoid the beginning of the month because they can't get enough promotional material out. So we're heavily loaded middle to the end, and it becomes difficult. What we don't want to miss is we don't want to be able to miss on Thanksgiving, because obviously the amount of shipping that takes place that week is down. And then, as I've always said, and this is not going to change by 6 or 7 o'clock on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, the world realizes, hey, the party's over, I got to go back to work. So the money is made essentially, the Friday before Thanksgiving all the way through that 10-day period. So that's one of the most essential 10-day periods that we have in the industry. And it's essential to his point to disregard what happened in the previous year, because those numbers really are not, they're good, but they're not what it's going to be this year. And it's not going to be what it's going to be this year from regard to the type of consumer it's going to be as well. With regard to Wicked, you could have a very unique consumer who is this, twice a year consumer that might be coming out to movie, event type movie. Hey, I really love Wicked on screen. I want to see it. Then you have Moana, which is such strong children's property, and it has the backing of the superstar with The Rock behind it. And then you have Gladiator, this iconic, movie from 20 years, but it's being reimagined, redone. Gladiator 2, it's a sequel, but it's not the cheesy. I wouldn't call it the cheesy type of, hey, let's squeeze a sequel out like we do so many times in other franchises. No one ever really looked at Gladiator as a franchise. It's a single picture. Now they're coming back, and there's a whole campaign with the NFL for those that are, aligned and have seen the commercials. Pepsi is obviously putting a lot of money into this with the NFL and their relationship, so it's all over television. So I think we could have a very fruitful end of that month. But for you guys, it's making sure you have the right product at the right time and not be like, well, they didn't order a ton at the beginning of the month, so then we stop. Because that's when we get hurt.
Definitely. Thanks for that.
Rob, we had a question asked, what do you think Wicked opening weekend will gross?
Oh, see, this is where I get myself in trouble. I think it will gross just over 50 million because traditionally, and that's a low number, but that's a busy weekend. And like what Rob said, some people are going to wait. Some people will want to see it ahead of time, but a lot of people might take off that Monday, Tuesday, and of course Wednesday. So if you ask me what the gross is from Friday to the Sunday after Thanksgiving, I think we're probably going to be sitting at, I don't know, Rob, what do you think, like 120 for that feature?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to think the 3-day because, again, there's a lot of traffic in that 3-day. And to that point, what he's saying is there's a lot of people who intend to go see Wicked, intend to see these movies open over Thanksgiving. Yet there's not always this urgency there is in other times that I have to be there on Friday because you have this elongated period. And we're not going to confuse ourselves. There are people who may see multiple movies over the course of that 10-day period. There may be. But the average Joe, the bread and butter consumer that comes 2.9 times a year, whatever, they're going to pick one day during that week, and it's going to be, if they're a Wicked fan, that's what they're going to do. The hope with a movie like Wicked is that it is, be careful how I say it's like transformational. This is one of those movies like, hey, I'm a big fan of Wicked, and I experienced it with Rob Layman, now I want to take a different friend because everyone knows the story. Let's not forget this is, a major Broadway production that ran forever. So Wicked fans are not going to be like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. They want to see how it translates from the stage to the silver screen. And then if it is good, which everything I've heard and those who've screened it's very good, the work is good, then they're going to bring people back. It's just like the people would go see the play multiple times. We would hope that people see the movie multiple times. So that's a long answer to say no one knows what the opening weekend is, but the 7 days are going to be very fruitful, and you could do that 120 to 50, 150.
And I totally agree with you, Rob. And I think what's going to happen for the theater people on this call, the days, you got to go back. It's been a long time since we've seen 3 movies. This, action, family, and Wicked. It's been a long time, and I could see, record-setting days for attendance at theaters on that Friday and Saturday and Sunday till 5 o'clock because there's going to be so many options for people to pick a movie, and you're also going to see some families that are going to come in, and the guys are going to go to Gladiator, and the women are going to go to Wicked, with close show times, and the kids might go to Mona. So it's going to be that weekend. From those 10 days are going to be huge for the theater industry, and like what Rob said, highly encourage, have those conversations with your team, the suppliers, manufacturers, distributors. Start filling up your warehouses. The orders are coming, and if you're ordering stuff on that Monday before Thanksgiving, you might not be getting a delivery till the following week. So a lot of planning ahead on that 10-day period. Oops. Oh, wait. All right. Let's talk about December a little bit. So Rob and I were talking about this when we were prepping for this. And I think Rob and I are in agreement that it always seems like the month of September, it's always the same. People will come out there. they're creatures of habit. The family, people are coming over for Christmas and, staying for a week with family members or just a couple days. And the thing to do is go see a movie. And I ran these numbers just to kind of show you, if you look at, 16, 17, 18, 19, 10% of the total box office of each year was the month of December is basically what this is showing you, that you have the same people come in all the time. And it doesn't matter what the feature is. We have 6 years worth of data here. We had some Star Wars in there. We had some Avatars in there. We had some that didn't have anything. Excuse me. So what I'm saying is that December, when you look at your projections from the previous December, a couple Decembers ago, it's going to be about the same amount of people are going to be walking through your doors and spending money at your concession stands. So this December, we got Craven, we got a Lord of the Rings movie, we got Sonic 3. Remember, we got a lot of leftover. We're going to have people that want to go see Gladiator that waited to get through Thanksgiving. So you're going to get a pull from those 3 movies that we've been talking about in November. They're going to carry, the first couple weeks of December. And then you're going to get into, Disney's got the Lion King feature. A Complete Unknown is, I want to put that in there. That's a story of Bob Dylan, but this is also the time that the studios will start throwing out a couple prints of the Academy stuff that to get nominated for the Oscars, you got to release stuff before the end of the year. So you're going to see a lot of different features come out. I made a mistake on this one again too, but December of 2023 top 5 movies. You can see Wonka was our number 1 movie for the month of December, made 130 million. What you see there is a couple of low, $39 million opening, $27 million opening. So I see a similar. I see December as like. December of 2023 will be similar for this December. I think I said it there. It's traditionally slow to start, but with the 3 big releases. So the last 14 days a year will be crazy. It always is. But here's the thing that we really wanted to talk about what we were referring to in November. Here's December's counter. And this is for everybody on this call. So distributors are closed, manufacturers closed, theaters are open. It's Christmas Day. Christmas Eve, distributors probably aren't delivering, theaters are open, suppliers are done for the year. So it's December 23rd, and that's your usual order date. But what is your plan for this week? And this is the one that Rob and I are real concerned with. And these are conversations that you need to start thinking about for everybody on this call. If you're used to ordering on Monday, there might not be a route to your theater until the following week. You need to think about, if you're ordering for Christmas, do you start ordering heavy on the 16th of December and not wait till the 23rd? Because that's the worst thing that can happen is you try to order on the 23rd and you're putting in, I'll just use an example, a 400-piece order on the 23rd thinking you're going to get it, on that Thursday, Friday, but everyone's put in a 400-piece order and they don't have enough supplies for you or routes for you. So, everyone that's on this call, I think you need to start thinking about what is your plan for that week, those 2 weeks, the weeks prior. Rob, you want to add on to this?
Yeah, agreed. I think that's the most vulnerable period of time. Because add in the fact that you guys have days you're not delivering, right? You guys have days you're not moving product. We have days that are some of our busiest days right after that. Plus you throw in the weekend. The hard thing about this is, yes, business on the 20th starts to change. But again, this is correct from Rob, this is only a 4-week Christmas shopping period then, right? Because Thanksgiving falls late, the way the calendar falls. So I know everybody buys everything online, sure, but that doesn't change the fact that how the shopping patterns tend to go in this business. You count how many weekends essentially between Christmas, and Thanksgiving. It's always been that way. And all of a sudden on December 24th, it's like someone turns a faucet on on the 25th. It's like, wait a minute, like all these movies explode and do well. So what does that mean for you guys? To Rob Lennon's point, there is, okay, well, you might be shipping on 24th. No one's shipping on 25th. Theaters get depleted on the 25th. If they don't do a good job of projecting their inventory, and you're out of something leading into that, you have 2 more days, then it's the weekend. You're not delivering on the 28th and 29th. Those are 2 of the more impactful days. And then we get to the 30th and 31st, then you take another break on the 1st. You don't take a break for national holidays, and no one expects you to be delivering. But this is a very, very, very strange calendar to be weekends, but with 2 days, buttress, with a day off, and then 2 more days, and another weekend. So it's always good to be flexible. For the operators, it's always good to have more in your buildings to mitigate this a little bit, because you're going to sell through it and flow through it into early January. But, I would just say from a distribution standpoint, you can't be out, because being out at this 2-week, 3-week stretch has exponential effect, because then the theaters are missing out on this once a year customer, which burns us and takes us from there.
And one thing to add to that, Rob, is, most schools will go back on the 2nd or 3rd of January. That's probably not going to happen this year, because the way the calendar fell, you get the 1st off, they're probably not going to go back to school on that Thursday.
Right.
So we have an extra weekend that we usually don't have during the holidays. So it's like, when Christmas falls dead, Wednesday, it can cause some chaos. So, if there's, Rob and I talk about this a lot, if there's one thing you take away from this call is mark something up, start thinking about it in November, whatever, and figure out your plan to talk to your suppliers, your manufacturers, your distributors, your theater managers that are ordering, and say, come up with a game plan and share it with everyone to make sure everyone's aware of it, because the worst thing you can do is think you're going to get 500-piece order that you're putting together on the 23rd and think you're going to get it on the 26th, and there's not 500 items. There's only 150 on that truck. All right. Wrapping up the year, just quickly, I look at September 2024 as positive over 23. I look at October 2024, positive, November positive, and I'll probably call it December 2024 even, and I'll probably say even for a long time. It's about the same amount of people coming through the doors. Quick peek at January 2025. We talk about the layover coming from Christmas. So, here's a quick, I think there's one movie that opens on the 10th, but usually people stay away from that first. That would be the 4th, or the 3rd, sorry. So you're going to see a kids movie, Paddington, then an action thriller 2 weeks later. Then here comes Smurfs and Captain America back to back. So here we go again. We've talked about 2025 being a really successful, lots of features, and as you can see, we already got 2 major movies trying to open on Valentine's Day, and I don't think either of them is going to move, because once again, it's kids, and everything I've seen from Marvel with Captain America previews, I think they're going to get their mojo back a little bit with this feature. Couple final thoughts. Suppliers, manufacturers, throw out, when you start talking about Q1 2025, please throw out all your Q1 2024 numbers. Get word to your suppliers. Don't let them say, well, last year for January, February, March, the theaters did that much. Just tell them to throw them out. It was a terrible first 3 months of the year. We didn't have any hits. We didn't have any product. There's going to be a ton of product. Q1 will be very busy with lots of movie titles. For theaters, I had to pull this out. This is Rob's first concession stand when he became a concession employee. Just kidding, Rob. But it does say Marcus on there. We were looking at this picture yesterday when we were going through this, and we think that's a soda machine on the right. That might have been the original Freestyle, 50, 60 years ago. For the theaters on the call, be prepared for a very busy 2025. Order, communicate with your distributors, and rotate that stock. That's all I got on this. We'll take any questions.
Well, I saw one from Shelly, Rob, and she's talking about how do we plan for your equipment, and that's a good thing. And I think I would just recommend this for people that are operators, no one can, it's not my place nor anyone's to tell you how to spend your money, but how to plan to spend your money is a different thing, right? And you need to understand, what's the lag for your equipment manufacturer. If you're an equipment manufacturer, I would just recommend to anybody know what it is an on-demand item and what is a custom or an order item, and then say, well, an order item 16 weeks or whatever. I'm just picking a rough number for creators in this case, 12 to 16 weeks. Okay, well, what is today? Today's, you just do the math and you have to say, all right, well, if I needed this, could I place an order now? Is it required that I buy it and whatnot? And I think those are important conversations for you to have with your manufacturers, because again, it's similar to the manufacturer distribution on the food and beverage side. Like, I mean, again, our distributors on this call can't just call the manufacturer and the stuff shows up tomorrow. I think in the Amazon world we live in, oftentimes we get discombobulated. The best operators know how the vendors that service them work. And when you understand their business, it helps understand how to make your business better. And whether that's from a manufacturer or a distributor, in a candy company, right? You need to know that obviously whoever, and I'll just say, let's say if you're a Vistar customer, that Vistar isn't sitting on candy, Reese's peanut butter cups in excess, that if, there's good volume coming through, that they need to get that to you. Or even if they do have it, to understand that it may be a day to get to you or 2 days, whatever those are, that the limits of everybody who's working in it, and not always expect the emergency pull the fire drill. And I think, again, this is the one learning lesson I've come through from years. If you're always pulling the fire drill, pulling the fire alarm, then people quit answering it, right? There are fire alarm times, but good preparation and thorough thought process and understanding, again, whether it's a manufacturer like Creators who's making industrial equipment for you to use to maximize your profit, or if it's, your concession distributor, your alcohol distributor, distribution point, whoever it is, you need to be aware of how their business works and how you can model that in on your own to work together to have this synergistic food chain that keeps your business running. Because like Rob and I were talking about, everybody gets hurt when money's not made, right? I mean, everybody gets hurt. If we're not making our money, then we can't turn around and reinvest in our business, and no different than distributors. Distributors they want trucks on the road, they want inventory moving, and manufacturers want to be creating, increasing overall sales.
Yeah, and Rob, I'll add on to that is, in my position here at Santikos, we're starting the game planning for CapEx expenditures for next year. And I think what you said, like with Shelly asking that question, is like, I know that, I'm going to my F&B team and saying, okay, what do we need for next year? And if they come back and say, we need a new popper here and we need this piece of equipment there, that's the things that they got to pick up the phone and call the Shellys and the other companies and say, okay, if we order, 3 poppers next year, how long is it going to take for us to get it? So it's just having, at the Cine show, I had a lot of people asking questions. When are things coming back? When are theaters going to start spending money again? And, the time to start spending money is, we keep having these positive months. We get $110 million openings from Beetlejuice, and we recover, and and what 2025 looks like a great year. And I think what's going to happen is, we're going to start spending some money on equipment and other pieces of remodels finally after all these years.
Yeah, and I can't say enough. Don't get lulled to sleep at the beginning of 25 with anything that happened in 24. 24, I'm not saying business has not been down. I'm not saying that we're at 2019 levels. So if you go back to Rob's chart, we're doing $11 billion at the box office. But what I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt is that January through essentially early May was an anomaly. It was an anomaly driven by a lack of supply chain coming out of Hollywood, inconsistent product feeding us, which is the engine that drives the consumer to come through our door. And it was the lack of consumer coming to the door, which was caused by the lack of product on screen, which can be attributed to the Hollywood studios. That's not the case in 2025. And that's why we said to people, when people asked me midway through 24, what does it look like? I was optimistic. I said that we're gonna have a great next 18 months, not just 24. We're gonna have a great 18 months because we're gonna see the second damage. You know, the first damage was the pandemic, and then we kind of got okay, but then you have the writer's strike, you have the actor's strike, and whatnot. So that was the supply chain damage to our business from exhibition happened later. While everyone else went through supply chain stuff during the pandemic, really for us, it was we got choked the second time.
Yep.
So don't sit there and say, well, my algorithm said that we're going to do this, this, and this in January and move X amount of cases based off of last year, and this is what the run rate is for the next 16 weeks. False. I would just say that because we'll get caught up in the same conversation, and that's what this is hopefully preventative medicine, so we don't make that mistake again.
Chris, you got some questions?
Got some questions and comments. I know Patrick, he just made the comment that exhibitors should really start ramping up stock in preparation for the holidays, but the distributors really need to be prepared for those that don't.
Yep. Great
So
point.
I thought that was an interesting point. And then I think maybe it does roll up into a question because Kim says later, yeah, on the buffer stock, but they should maybe also have safeguards to not allow hoarders to order more than a certain percentage. So I don't know how anybody feels about that, but I think that's the basic question.
I was going to say, I don't know how you do this, Rob, with your sites, but you know, we teach our sites too. There is responsibility on the operator for this rate.
Yep.
Gouging and starvation is not a good system either. And that is a system that many of our locations do, where you end up gouging. You make what I would call a 4-week order, and then you starve the distributor for 3 weeks, and the distributor is like, well, you're not ordering anymore. And, you know, there's indicators we need to give our distribution partners, and that is the consistency of ordering and the building of ordering. And it can't just be feast or famine, because then they get burned, the operators, because they try to put this giant order in, a 2 to 3 week sized order, but they haven't ordered anything for the previous 8 weeks. So it is a give and take, and it's something that people have to learn and we have to manage. Because again, in my position, I'm not ordering for 80 some theaters. That's not how it works. You know, and no different than Rob Lehman should not be ordering for his theaters. You know, we have to have oversight in different departments and stuff, and communication from the vendor community back to us as leaders in the organization to feed down. But it's at that psych level where it can get off the rails.
There is a comment here. This is all fantastic information. Can we get a copy of the deck? I'm going to assume we can, Rob.
Yeah.
And we will be making a recording of this available. We can throw along the deck and then also some of the chat text as well in a package to everybody who attended here today. So, any other questions or comments?
I think it was a good 1 hour discussion. We thank everybody for participating. We want to continue to bring seminars like this to everybody. You know, in the future, probably have restrictions on these to, you know, members only. So we encourage more folks to sign up and become members of the Entertainment Food and Beverage Association, formerly known as the NAC. You know, the name change, just so everyone's clear for those on the whys, and in my last 2-minute spiel here, the whys and how long it's going to take. This is a 1-year transition process. We intend to be fully converted by the next time we have an expo, which information is coming on, just in case people are like, hey, what's the news on the expo for 2025? We're looking at some date and location movement from that to try to optimize that. So you will hear stuff on that in the coming weeks that is in process with our staff. Obviously, our executive director, Chris, is leading the way on. But the change is reflective of the change in who we are as an industry. So I want to make sure that people understand, hey, why are you putting away the NAC name and going entertainment, food, and beverage? It's just who we are and how they business, and the entertainment, out-of-home entertainment world is changing. And we want to be more reflective and inclusive of that.
Well, all right. If there isn't anything more, we can wrap this up in a nice, neat hour. I would encourage everybody to visit neconline.org. Like I said, if you're not a member, you should be a member. These conversations happen all the time, and they're going to happen more. We're committed to doing that. We're committed to Dan Harrell taking over our education program and updating that. There's going to be a lot of great things coming up. And my advice, like Rob's advice, is get on early.
Yep, definitely.
Because there's going to be some great things coming your way, and you will be very happy you did.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks everybody. Be looking for the next one of these. We'll set a date for Q4, and we'll be coming out shortly. But until then, have a great day from the National Association of Concessionaires and the Entertainment, Food and Beverage